Today I'm here with the 2022 Suzuki Hayabusa, the much anticipated Gen 3 Hayabusa. Now this bike is synonymous with speed and almost like how a Bugatti is looked at for top speed, and this is kind of like what the Bugatti is to the motorcycle world, meaning it's always been renowned for its top speed, and I've seen people make insane power with these bikes, this platform, this motor, putting a turbo on it. And it's all set. I mean, this bike is absolutely ridiculous. So today what we're going to be doing is reviewing the before our flash, and then we'll be reviewing the after the flash. We're also going to be installing our custom set of stacks in, which I'll have an install video for as well. And we'll be dyno tuning the motorcycle as well. Lee's in San Diego, they're kind enough to let us use their cell while we get the bike dialed in. So some specs on this thing. They've apparently opened up the crankcase. There's a lot more oil going through it. They've done some upgrades. It is 188 horsepower, 111 foot-pounds of torque, they're saying. Top speed of 185. Don't worry, I'll test that too. And on this particular bike, we have an Acra full system. It has been stretched. It looks like it just has blocks out the back of it. And the gearing has been changed, 1 down in the front and 2 up in the back, to give it a little more oomph. So when I do the 60 through 130 testing, I will be doing it in first gear to kind of maximize what this bike was built for and made for, seeing as this is a little bit purpose built. I don't see a whole lot of point in doing a whole review on the motorcycle in the turns. It's not meant for that, so we'll do a freeway, regular stuff, 60 130, and the dyno stuff, so you guys can see the difference tuned and untuned. Other than that, the bike is I want to say, under $20,000 you can pick one of these things up for, and man, it's a bike. It's a nice bike at that. Everyone sees this bike. It's a neck breaker, has Brembos on it, feels a little spongy to me. Maybe it's just some air in the system or something, or maybe it's just the fact that this bike weighs close to 500 pounds. But it's a cool little bike. So let's get to the ride review, and let's see what she does stock. Alright, here with my first impressions on the Gen 3 Suzuki Hayabusa. And this thing's kind of like riding a giant lazy boy, like a couch with an engine. I mean, it's so comfortable and cruises so well. You can be going 180 miles an hour on this bike and not even know it. It's so simple to ride. I mean, stock impressions, I have to turn everything up on this thing to even kind of make it feel like a sport bike. But it still feels pretty good. I mean, this one is a little bit, like I said, lowered and stretched, so this can get some, just really cruise worthy, I guess. I mean, even the stock form, it's not really a bike you would take on turns. It's not a track monster. It's more just kind of cruising or a straight line monster. So I would definitely buy this thing if I'm looking for a straight line. I mean, I've seen these bikes get up to 700 wheel horsepower, and that's just from, putting a hairdryer on these things. They really respond well to a built motor. I mean, it's a 1300cc engine. I mean, it's huge. One of the bigger ones. So it's perfect for something like forced induction. And I mean, it's just a big, heavy bike, but this actually responds really well stock. I kind of like how this bike feels, and just the prestige of having a Hayabusa is very nice as well. I kind of like the power of this thing. We'll see if we can... I left a couple streaks. But this thing really moves out. It's really good for stock. Pretty decent for stock. I'd like to see some more power to this thing. On first gear with this gearing, this thing really sings. I mean, it really sings. Especially with this full Acra. Sounds awesome. Now you see the traction control light is on. I've obviously turned the traction control off. Again, this bike is stock right now with the stock flash. We have not flashed it yet, but the TC light is on because I turned the traction control off, just so I can do some rolling burnouts and stuff. I usually like to turn all the aids off the bikes I do reviews on, just so there's no nannies there. If you guys like to put the nannies on, that's awesome, cool. I just like to get the really raw feeling of the bike without the intervention of the electronics. I mean, sometimes, like on the Ducatis, it's so seamless that you feel like a superhero, and it's really the bike doing all the work. I mean, of course, it always takes talent. Even the MotoGP bikes have assist, traction control aids and stuff like that, but those are things that are making 300 wheel, you know, they're ridiculous. So we're just going for a ride here. This is a San Diego winter. Looking nice. Just trying to get the feel for the bike here. Overall, the clutch is okay. It feels a little notchy, the clutch. I'm not really a big fan of it. The front brake on this thing, a little bit lacking in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You could probably put some different pads on here or something and not have an issue, but I'm feeling a little bit of an issue. I'd like the brake to be a little less spongy. Other than that, this thing cruises very nicely, gets out very nicely, as you saw with me doing the rolling burnout there. It gets out. I got no complaints about this thing just cruising around, and this is what it's made for. Just kind of cruising around, relaxing, and then of course for the other people, it's meant to really sing up top and get that really fast. It has some good aero. I mean, this thing can really move like fast. In fact, I raced it against the Triumph Speed Triple here, and I was out in front of the Speed Triple, and this thing just came sailing by about 180 miles an hour. This bike just comes into its own after 100 miles an hour, basically. It just kind of cruises, and it doesn't even feel like you're going that fast. I mean, there's times you're cruising at like I don't know, 150, you look down, you go, whoa, 150. It doesn't feel like it's going that fast. It's so well balanced. It's such a well balanced bike. Quick shifter's all right, no issues there. What do we got going here? Road is closed. Where are we supposed to go then? I guess we go around this way. Alright, and we made it out of the construction zone, and it got me a chance to kind of read this bike really good down low. It's super good for cruising. I don't have any faults in this thing, just down low, just kind of taking off and back a little bit. Not a huge fan of the clutch. The brakes, like I said, are a little bit soft. That's really it. It cruises really well. It holds the gear really well. The down low shifts are very good as well. And I mean, it has some good outright power on it. So I guess we'll just take this thing and do some more like freeway stuff with it, because I think that's more of its element, is the freeway. So I'm gonna do, let me see, I'll figure out how to get on the freeway, and I'll get on the freeway from here. Alright, we can see we're gonna race the Speed Triple against the Busa. He has an advantage because I'm not even straight right now. Let's see. Oh my god, that thing's taking off! Oh my god, that Speed Triple is fast! That thing is fast! Fast, man! I could barely even get the traction on this bike, and that thing was just gone. Oh man! So that Speed Triple has our flash on it, and we've been kind of testing both bikes side by side here. Man, this is hilarious. That Speed Triple was just eating this thing for lunch up until a certain point. I mean, aerodynamically it'll hit a wall, but that thing's moving. Alright, there we go. I finally got traction now. Alright, we're trying to get this thing to the freeway right now, where it's a natural habitat. But that was fun. Alright, and we are back on the Hayabusa on the freeway in its natural element. And let me tell you, this bike feels so natural at 100 miles an hour. It feels like I'm going 40. The throttle response can be nice and easy. You can see I have all the nannies off here. I can make it choppy, or I can just kind of roll into it. Rideability wise, this bike is awesome. It's a beautiful cruiser, man. I mean, there's no drama in this bike at all, and it's really meant to be kind of like on the freeway. It feels like the most comfortable bike on the freeway there is, in my opinion. So we're gonna take this thing tune it, and we're going to tune it with our new velocity stacks, which they look insane, let's put it that way. You can't say we copied anyone on the stacks. And the stacks make power up top and don't lose any power down low. You got the speed triple over there, you can see we're reviewing that one as well, so we're kind of swapping bikes back and forth here. And we'll get to the dyno on this. We're going to do the stacks on this, and then we're going to do the after review video. We're going to see if there's any quantifiable gain from the 60 through 130 and see how it just feels, the visceral feeling of the bike itself, because with tuning only, the bike's pretty de-restricted right out of the box. So with tuning, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot out of it, but I think we will get a whole lot out of this bike with the stacks. I think that's where it's going to be a really deciding factor. So we'll see the actual empirical data on that. So I'll see you guys after the dyno. This is our baseline. 170 wheel horsepower, 106 foot-pounds of torque. You see that curve, looks beautiful. These bikes are pretty much 100% out of the box. So we'll get a little bit with tuning, just kind of dialing it in, and most of the power is going to come from these stacks here. So let's show you guys what they look like here. Number one, this wild design that we came up with, and you can see they kind of fits together like this when we install it. So let's get started. Very successful day with testing on the Gen 3 Hayabusa here. You can see right here on the stock baseline, which is red. Red's gonna pull all the way up right there to its stock red line. And you can see our blue, that's our BT Moto Flash, pulls right over everything and extends the red line. You can see peak to peak here at red line, we're making almost 10 wheel horsepower and making all this power all the way down until about, what is that, like 6,000 RPM it starts to separate. But with the stacks installed, of course, the red being the stock baseline, blue being ours with stacks. The red is no stacks, and you can see there's absolutely no loss. Usually what happens is people say, oh, the stacks, they push the power band over, you're losing the bottom, but you're gaining up top. We made sure that didn't happen. You're only gaining up at the top with ours, you're not losing anything down low. So you can see the red line just carries and carries this beautiful power band here that it doubles the power band from before, basically. And that's what we did with the Gen 3 here. And we'll get her back on the road for some after testing. And we're back with the 2022 Suzuki Hayabusa. And we're doing the after testing now. This is after the flash and stack installation. We saw there was definitely some power gain. We're gonna see right now, we're gonna take over to the 61 through 130 and see exactly how much we gained from it. Because this bike's a little bit stretched, I'm gonna have to warm the tire up a little bit here. If I roll into the freeway here, I'll just do like a rolling burnout. All right. That should do it. Yeah, okay. I think she's definitely warmed up. I'll try it again at the spot, but just to get some first impressions here. The quick shifter definitely seems faster. It's really fast, actually. There is no lag in the quick shifter anymore. Throttle still feels about the same. Not feeling anything huge there in the mid-range. We'll see what it's like in the top end here in a little bit. As you can see, there was no problem doing extended rolling burnout there, so that's good. With the flash, the throttle might be a hair more responsive. A little more power, just a little bit, nothing crazy. But overall it still retains all that stock smoothness. No issues with the bike being smooth at all. No issues with power lags or dips in power. As we saw from the graph, the bike is extremely similar to stock, just gains power up top with an extended rev limiter with those new stacks in flash. So once we get to the spot here, I'll go ahead and get fired up again, and we'll see what we do. Alright, I'm here with the Busa. This is the after test for 60 through 130. And let's get going. If I have enough space, I'll try and test high speed too, and with GPS on the GoPro. We'll see if that works. Alright, it should be warm enough now. We'll see here. 60 through 130. Try and get it here. Here we go. The bike managed to get a 4.5. That's better than the 4.8 we initially started with. So it's 0.4 of a second just from flashing and the stacks, which is pretty good considering that there really isn't anything on this bike. I mean, it has a full pipe, but the new pipes are now so efficient on these newer models of pretty much any bike that an aftermarket exhaust isn't really going to give you anything for top end. If it does, it's a couple horsepower, if anything. Really, you get the exhaust system for a mid-range bump. That's pretty much all it is. But a 4.5 is definitely a lot better than a 4.8. So 0.4 from stacks and just the flash, no other changes, exact same spot, same conditions, pretty much same everything, same rider, everything. So that's quantifiable data right there that shows that yeah, this works, this does work. The quick shifter is noticeably faster, the power is there up top, the extended rev limiter definitely helps keep you in a broader power band. There's definitely a lot of things here that enable this bike to be a lot of fun up top. As far as the mid-range goes, I'll be honest, not really a huge change in the mid-range, nothing. I mean, it feels just like you did before. So for those people that just like to cruise it, this is perfect. You're gonna get the same thing you had when you rode the bike stock, and then when you want to really stomp on it, you get that faster quick shifter, you get more power. There's no sacrifices here as far as like when you install the stacks for the downrange loss in power. There's only gains up top. So it doesn't do like what a lot of tuners saying, oh, it shifts the power band over. Yeah, some stacks do that, but we've engineered these where we're not losing any power down low. You only gain power up top because we know everyone that rides these bikes is not going to be racing them. They're going to be cruising them around. They're not going to want a significant drop in that low and mid-range power. So other than that, I do notice the quick shifter is definitely a faster thing. I mean, it's definitely faster than it was before. I can hear the kill times definitely squeezed up a little bit, especially up top. This is a great starter platform, and it's a lot of fun to ride around, honestly. You can hit this thing in first gear, and I mean, it either blows the tire off or it sends you into the back seat. You know, it's a pretty wild ride. So overall, very happy with the results we got here from the stacks and the flash, and I think the customers will too. So until then, I guess I'll see you guys on the next bike.